Let me check.
All right, it is showing live.
Let's go.
It's go time.
We're live.
All right, let's click on the,
Oh, God.
just to make sure it's got audio. Okay, we got audio.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? This is Coaching Over Coffee. I am Coach Dan, and from left to right, we have got Coach Ryan, we've got Coach Eden, and we have got Coach Casey with you this morning. How are we doing? How are you? Okay.
Yeah, we're really good today.
Yeah.
All right, you can move the mic closer to your face. Okay.
I'm a little under the weather, so just be careful of my coughing.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just establishing that before you guys give me shit for coughing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Why would we give you shit for coughing?
Just because it's a disruption to everybody's listening pleasure on the show today.
Okay. Good. Enjoy the pleasure. Casey, why don't you go ahead and introduce today's episode?
That's good.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about outgrowing what no longer serves you. And to start off today's podcast, I kind of wanted to just go like right to left or left to right and have everybody kind of share their perspective or like their own definition of what outgrowing means to you.
I think it means to me not investing time, money, effort into something that's not selfishly valuing you. So stop spending time on things that you think are important when they're not actually really important in you.
I like that.
Thank you.
You're next, Eden.
Okay. I think it is to change in different aspects of your life. I feel like you need to outgrow to grow almost. So I feel like there's time and a place for everything, and everything happens for a reason. So I feel like it's just a part of life.
Yeah, I like that. I'll go next.
Okay.
I think when you outgrow certain things, you kind of learn how to step into your own power, and you might go from being someone that's really dependent on comfort, maybe not so much like people, places, or things, but just the idea or illusion of how those things make you feel. And you kind of learn how to be at peace with being on your own and making your own decisions.
I think outgrowing can be situational. I believe that with certain things, like you realize, first off, your potential, but then also you've realized maybe this isn't the path that you want to be on, so you're striking out on your own. It's not necessarily you're outgrowing the people emotionally around you, but you are just heading in a different way, and that's not always bad.
Let's go around the room now, and I'll throw it out there. Name a time and place situation where you felt like you've outgrown something. Casey, you go first.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot right away.
Yeah, because I saw your
Okay.
eyes light up right there.
Well, obviously, in this past year, I had a career change. So when I went away to school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think we probably had very similar experiences with this, maybe all four of us, actually. But I went into teaching because that's what I thought that I should do. And I thought, you know, it would look good and look valuable to the people around me, but it wasn't necessarily valuable to myself. And I didn't even know that at the time. But then as I started to grow, I realized that like this isn't for me anymore. And it took me 2 years, but I finally kind of stepped into my own power, like I said before, and realized like I'm the only person that's in charge of my own happiness in my own life. And so I decided to make that career change. So I would say that that's a time where I have outgrown something that no longer serves me. It wasn't benefiting my life in any way, shape, or form.
Garden of Eden, you're up.
I think that since I am in such like a vulnerable age with being in your 20s, I feel like I'm outgrowing a lot of relationships, not necessarily on purpose, but I feel like people in their 20s and all throughout life are in different stages of their life. So I feel like I have some friends who are still in college. I have some friends who are working full-time jobs, 9 to 5s. So we're all at a different like spot in our life, wanting different things, and not necessarily that we're outgrowing each other. We're just finding ourselves, and that's not necessarily fitting in each other's lives as much as we were when we were 18 years old, hanging out every day. So I feel like that's like a learning curve for me right now, and it's no one's fault, but it's like if something can't work out, or if a friendship doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world like it would have been like if we were in high school, and it's like, oh my God, she's so mean, like she doesn't want to be my friend. It's almost like we're understanding like, okay, like we're not going to be the same friends that we were in high school.
Sure.
It's going to be different because we're growing up. So
Do you think age makes a big difference though? Because I think we can still outgrow friends and
Oh, yeah.
situations as 50-year-old adults.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think this is just like where you're kind of starting to learn that
Yeah.
and how to handle it rather than getting in like a fight war over text, you know what I mean, about not
Yeah.
hanging out. So I feel
Can I
like
interject and
Yeah.
add to that? So I was trying to think of ways that we could like give tools for people that might be going through something like this. And when I was thinking about in terms of relationships, because it's something that like everybody goes through, but not everybody will act on it. Like I've been a very passive person for 24 years, so I'm trying to learn how to not be so passive. And I think you'll agree, like when you outgrow a certain person, it doesn't need to be like cutting that person off and it like end all be all, like this is the end of the world, like I'm going to tell you I'm not going to be your friend anymore. I think you can just also slowly distance yourself from people and do it in a healthy way where there doesn't have to be hard feelings. It's just the way that life is.
I agree with that.
I think it makes them value your presence then. I think, what is this
Definitely.
stupid expression? Absence makes the heart grow
Yeah.
fonder. You know, removing yourself. And somebody gave me some advice when I was younger is like, you have 24 hours in a day. You don't have to spend all 24 with your friends. If there's 168 in a week, you can spend one with them.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't have to spend and consume all your time with those people that are maybe toxic or don't value you or you're outgrowing.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'll go. I think I outgrew the thought of what success was in business. So, well, I thought it was always about how much money you could make or keeping your business afloat or whatever metric that you wanted to have to withstand or label yourself as successful. I think I outgrew that notion and now have became more self-imposed, as we talk about in therapy, that you have to start taking care of yourself more, right? So stop spreading yourself so you only have 1% left in your battery.
Nice tattoo idea. Thank you. I outgrew the idea of corporate being a way of making income. Casey mentioned that she had her career change. I had mine at the end of last year, beginning of this year. And for me, it didn't suit me anymore to punch a time clock, to be scared of missing a time punch and having to explain myself to somebody. And also just understanding that there is a cold structure to the way that they do things, because it is about the bottom line, and I'm not ignoring that fact. But when you realize there's not a very human aspect of human resources, it makes you take a step back and realize me as a person has outgrown this situation. It might work for other people who have their guaranteed time off and they know their overtime schedule and they can plan their life around work. For lack of a better term, it's like I don't want to live that way.
Yeah.
That's very hollow. It's not. So like realizing that, it's like was probably one of the biggest outgrowing moments.
Yeah, I don't think you can reach your full potential in a system like that. Like no matter what type of corporate job you have, like there's usually a ladder and it's like it stops at some point, and
They don't
that's what
want
I
you to.
realized. Yeah. Like I was working like hours on hours and putting in all this time and effort to get literally nothing in return.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life.
Well, I just think about during the pandemic, you had all these businesses that were shut down and you had all these people working from home, and they walked right in. They were like, here's a letter from the governor. You're going to be doing lots of overtime. And it's like, oh, you don't care. Like, you just need another cog in the wheel. And it's like, I outgrew that concept. I didn't even feel that way in the Army. I felt more like that in a medical job than that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, the corporate structure, not to bash it, it works. I mean, our whole country is founded on that. But, I think especially younger society today, they look more towards the independence and flexibility of like working from home and Zoom and things like that. But I also think it does create a little bit of laziness.
Oh yeah.
It's like we're entitled, I'm 25 and I should be able to work from home and make $75,000 starting off the rip. I do think it takes a little bit of resilience and to get punched in the mouth and to go through those experiences to learn how to grow, right? I think I hear a lot of parents just in situationals that we don't want to put kids in position or people in positions to fail to be hurt, to experience pain. And I would 1000% agree. Everybody in this little panel here has felt pain, has got over it, and has now seen the results of things for the better and for the worse, right? So I think pain equals learning, but if you don't learn, you can't grow.
I was just going to say that if you don't learn, you don't grow.
Yeah. So either win or you learn. But I think too many of us don't want to step on those hot coals to feel the pain and what it's like. You know?
I agree.
Yeah.
Who's
I
next?
feel like COVID kind of took like the accountability aspect away from that, from like a lot of students and stuff, because I feel like it was hard. Everyone was navigating the time, but it was also new to everyone, and no one really like knew how to handle it. So I feel like a lot of that was lost there. Like I feel like a lot of you weren't able to like learn as well to like, I don't know.
My biggest question with COVID
things.
now is like, when do we stop?
Yeah.
You know,
I
when
don't
do
know.
we stop leaning on the fact that it was 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And I didn't learn 4 or whatever.
Almost 4.
Yeah.
You know, COVID did this to us. Well, we're going to sit around and say like, hey, I have another 4 years to deal with it.
Yeah.
I think that's where that resilience has to come in, and we have to
Definitely.
start putting feet on the ground and start running again.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Somebody ask a question.
Well, okay. So when it comes to outgrowing, when is the moment that you realize it, and how do you have those conversations about outgrowing? I mean, you talked about not sending lengthy texts, and also like maybe just letting it drift apart and having an understanding. But it's like, at what point do you have that conversation?
I think you feel it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think
It just
there's a
kinda
set,
happens.
yeah. Like I've learned to take the you out of them, right? Now we're putting expectations, and we're expecting people to act and have the same heart that we would, and when they don't, then that's when we get dejected and rejected and feel a certain way, and it's typically a negative emotion. If you can take your heart out of people and do what's best for you, then I think you'll feel when it's right.
I agree. I feel like you have to just know what's gonna, like you said, like serve you, and if that's not serving you, then take a step back. And like I said, everything happens for a reason. So everything has a timing, and it's gonna happen when the time's ready. And I feel like I've had certain situations where, like with friends, with just different relationships, where it was like, alrighty, this is enough. I stepped back, and then like the conversation just happened when it did, and it worked out for the better. I feel like all of them were a lot smoother going than they could have been if it was premature. So
Yeah.
like there's always a right time.
I think everybody listening and everyone sitting at this table right now has probably been in a situation where they have outgrown a person or felt that they've outgrown a person. And like you said, it's like a feeling. I think you have to like reflect and think, maybe after like a social setting, like how did that person make you feel? Did you leave feeling like empty and uninspired, or did you leave feeling fulfilled and happy? And I think like you become what you attract. So like if you're surrounded by negative people or negative environments, you're just going to like succumb to that negativity. But I do think that another piece of advice, instead of looking for people that have like the same interests or personalities as you, I think look for people that have the same values as you instead, because it's going to be hard to clash with people that have the same values as you. Just because you and another person like the same baseball team, like doesn't mean you're going to be best friends,
Sure.
If you have different values, like probably not going to get along very well. So
I like that.
I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think like you can learn from people too. You surround yourself with the same style of person, well, guess what's going to happen?
Never gonna change.
No,
Yeah.
You're never going to learn anything.
Yeah.
not going to try new things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, from a fitness standpoint, at what point do we outgrow ourselves? Because one of the things that is scary, and a lot of clients talk about it, is when they start seeing progression in themselves, it almost becomes scary, and they want to go back to that comfort of what used to be. Because it is, I mean, when Ryan was in here, she's now what, 5 days a week? A year ago, she didn't see herself in there.
Yep.
So she's grown as a person and admitted that it was scary.
Yep.
Like, how does one deal with that? Like, what would you suggest to a client that you're working with?
I think because they're scared of failure.
Yeah.
They're scared to go back. It's funny that we're scared of results.
Yeah.
We're scared of the process to what it takes to get there. We don't know what it's going to be like. We don't know if we're ever going to get there, but how many of us don't put our sneakers on every single day and try?
Yeah.
Is it fear of failure, fear of success or fear of the unknown?
It's all of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think all of it's the unknown. You know, it's what is it? Paralysis by analysis. We're going to sit and wait until how many times do you guys hear, well, I'll lose 20 pounds and then come in?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, listen, obviously it hasn't worked for you. So like, why are we waiting?
Yeah.
You know? So I think fitness, but also like jobs, careers, relationships, they all go hand in hand.
They do.
It's all fear. You know, we're scared. I just have this volley that why isn't this conversation talked about enough?
People are scared.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about this? Why isn't this like the head of a podcast all the time? Why aren't we talking about relationships and how to deal and coping mechanisms in school? You know, it's not a section that we're going to take is communication.
Yeah.
You know, how to deal with friends. You know, we know how to work with computers and tablets and stuff like that.
Google searches, you know, and all that. But also, like, you talk about it hand in hand with the mental health aspect of it. It's like we don't talk about mental health nearly as much. Better now than it used to be, like in the 90s when we were growing up, where it was like man up and shut up. But we don't talk about that stuff.
I think we need to go back to some of that, though. You know, I think a lot of us, and I'm not being insensitive, but how many times do we say, like, oh, I need a mental health day? How many days do we feel like when we're 100%? There's nothing in our lives that's always going to be consistent. Your relationships, your jobs, everything is not going to be hunky-dory every day. True or not true?
True.
True. So, like, how do we put our best foot forward even though we have a bag full of bullshit on our backpack?
Mindset.
Yeah. And I think it's having goals. I think it's having some sort of inspiration of purpose. And like you said, surround yourself with people that fulfill you. But why are we learning this stuff at 20? Why aren't we learning this stuff in like when we're growing and going through those changes so that way we don't have to deal with those mental health, anxiety issues when we are 20, navigating through the most vulnerable times of our lives? That's my question. Somebody answer it for me.
Well, I mean, that's a lot to unpack because...
Yeah, we got a book bag full of shit.
I know. It's in the corner over there. I think that there's... First off, how do you educate people on that? That is one of the big ones. You have to go to reliable sources. And every single person at this table, we talk about not being in an echo chamber and not listening to the same kind of views, right? Back in the day, you used to be able to have, not to get political, you used to be able to have your cousin who was more liberal leaning, your cousin who was more conservative, and they could be in the same household and they could talk. Nowadays, you opposite ends of the spectrum, you don't even talk to each other. It's like we're teaching kids by example, young, that if you don't like someone's opinion of it, walk away. Don't put in the effort, don't put in the time, don't try and understand that person.
Sure.
And I think that maybe that's one thing that we as either caregivers or educators ourselves need to learn. How do we do it? And I think that there's no one reliable source. You kind of have to listen to everybody and then pick and choose what works best for you.
Casey, you're in the education field. What would you say?
I mean, I see this a lot. I think that this generation of children are being parented to believe that everything that they think is okay and is right. Like, I was in situations where, like, as a grown adult with like a decent head on my shoulders, like a child would do something where they're in the wrong, and then I'm the one getting like angry messages at the end of the day, like, well, why did you do this to my kid? And I'm like, well, your kid screwed up. Like, I don't know what to tell you. There has to be a consequence. Like, parents don't want consequences for their kids anymore. And I do think part of that is an insecurity because they know that maybe their parenting is not up to par or they don't have consequences at home. So when their child does receive it from somebody else, it's almost like to them maybe a slap in the face. I don't know, but I do think that we're definitely like raising generations to be very soft, and that's really concerning for the future because like I think our generation is kind of soft as it is. And so I'm like, it's just getting worse, and so I don't know what that's going to look like.
But it's, I mean, again, learning too. It's not their fault. I don't think it's not parents' fault because we're so stressed about trying to make it.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to pay for this mortgage. We're trying to pay for this car. We're trying to pay for the extracurricular activities that the kids are going to do now. Everything costs an arm and a leg. So, you know, now both parents are working instead of back in the day where just one was and one was the caretaker at home and they had that great influence of mom or dad at home. Now it's, hey, it's daycare, and daycare is $800 a month and somebody else is raising your children from 5 until 8
Yeah.
when they go to school or whatever. So I don't think it's their fault, but it is happening, you know. I don't see the ones that are just going after it. And then the ones that do really, really stand out.
Yeah.
You know, you guys see the kids. You guys
Yeah.
see the people, the younger kids that, you know, I'll look at like a Patrick Conway. Look at that kid. He's here at 4:30. He coaches, works out, teaches, coaches, comes back and coaches again. He puts a full day's work of effort into it.
Yeah.
He's a different breed. How many kids are doing what he's doing? Shout out to PC.
It's not just, do you feel that it is a taught thing from the home, or do you think that it is an inner desire to be?
It's inner.
And at that point, I know this is like a conversation that we've had offline while watching some of the student athletes. It's like you can see the ones that really want it, and then you can almost see how alienating it is. And I think that might also be another problem, is people want acceptance. We are a social creature. So when you stand out, like you pointed out.
Hang on, what does acceptance get us? Listen, I learned I don't want to be accepted. I don't give a shit who anybody thinks that I am. And I think you guys being younger, if you guys as soon as you guys establish that as like an identity, I think you'll learn and grow so much more than somebody that's learned it at 40 something.
Yeah.
39.
Internal versus external validation.
Yeah. But I think if you guys figure that out, life gets easier. And
Yeah.
it's like outgrowing your former self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially, and I know this is going to sound weird, they're at a moment right now where they're going to look at it from our age and be like, this is the moment I outgrew what I was.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had these conversations with, I mean, how old are you guys? 25, 24?
24, yeah.
23, 22, 19? 19. I just hired you. And I don't even know. I know you watch Bubble Guppies, but if I had those conversations and figured out the shit that you guys are learning now, shit.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot bigger, different story.
Yeah.
I don't have to go through some of the things that I went through, but it's, you know, I think your story is going to take you and where you were supposed to go. Like you said, everything happens for a reason. But you got to step outside the car.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always on cruise control.
Yeah.
And it's a scary step,
Oh yeah,
right?
definitely.
I've seen you grow since you've been here.
Yeah, I feel like when I first reached out to you, I was
Very sheepish.
very nervous. I reached out to be a cycling instructor, which I still would like to do one day. But that was like I knew from when I did the camp with you 2 years ago or a year ago that I wanted to work here when I was done with school. But I was so nervous. I don't know of what, because now like I feel
Was
like
it failure? Was it rejection? Was it not being accepted? Was it,
Not
I mean,
being-
I
what
feel
was
like it's
it?
a little the fear of the unknown. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I didn't know how it was going to go. But then I feel like it took a little bit, but once I sat down with Casey one day and I was like, alrighty, I think I'm ready. Like, she was like, okay, we were just waiting for you to say that. So
Yeah, what's the determining thing that made you feel ready, though?
I was just like, I need to do this. Like, I need to put my foot forward because I feel like a lot of people, especially in our generation, have had things handed to them, like almost like, already, like, we're gonna walk you through this.
Yep.
And it's like, no, you gotta walk yourself through it first.
Yeah.
And you're gonna see different things throughout that change, like different relationships, different job changes, different people coming in and out of your lives, and for yourself a lot of change. And I feel like that was what I was scared of. I didn't know how anything was gonna happen. I was like, I'm just gonna dive head first though. So I did, and I'm very, very thankful that I did, because it's led me to this point today, and I'm happy to see where it's gonna lead me next.
You got notes.
I do. I feel like, to kind of go along with what you said, you have to start by making decisions that are within your comfort zone. And then I think you start to develop like a greater belief in yourself. And then once that's like where I said, like, it's like taking your power. Like, I think once you have that power, you feel confident enough to make like any decision, whether it's career, relationships, like whatever it is. So like, I think for you, probably that first step would be like even just coming in here. Like, you were working out for a couple of months before we had that second conversation of like, yes, I'm ready, I want to do this. So like maybe for you, that first decision within your comfort zone was just being in the gym.
Exactly. I think it was too. It was just like being here, like meeting people, surrounding myself in this environment. That was like the first little step of change. And then like I've just seen like little steps, like
Yeah.
leading up to like I don't know where
And I
yet,
think
but
that has trickled on to personal life and friends.
It does.
it has. Yes.
For sure.
Because it gives you courage, and I always think it's like that building block. It gives you momentum, and same thing with fitness. You just have to step in the door,
Yep.
give yourself a chance, get results, then you keep doing it over and over and over. And I think the hardest thing is always just starting, or just making that commitment to yourself
Yeah.
and saying, like, I'm not going to do the things that aren't valuable to me.
Yeah. A lot
Who
of
does Chris? Sorry to interject.
You're good.
Chris Mass gave me the best advice. He said, unapologetically saying no without a response.
Yeah.
you don't have to justify
No
it.
Yeah.
explanation.
Hey,
Learning
do you,
that.
Hey, do you want to go to this party tonight? No.
Why? Because I said it.
No.
Because
I mean,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, because I
just
said no.
Because I
Yeah.
don't want to. Yeah.
Because it's not going to benefit me.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
And I think that's a great thing to learn. It's hard,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? Because what's the first thing that you do? Justify it. No, well, I got too much to do.
Yeah.
Or like when people in your life, you get it, the asks, where it's like, hey, can you? Hey, it's like that is one of my things for 2024 is like being able to say no.
Yeah.
That is a huge one. And
It's
also
powerful though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you got in your notes?
Well, I talked about a lot of them already, but I guess in terms of fitness, you kind of just touched on it too, of like the ripple effect. Like for some people, and it's not the same for everybody, like some people's journeys are going to be more difficult than others. They might be longer than others, but I do think like maybe the first step is just working out. So maybe you start coming to the gym 3 days a week and you start to see some type of result. And then you start to gravitate maybe towards even more healthier choices. So maybe you're working out for a month and you're like, oh, I feel great. What else can I do? So then you start to look at the food that you're eating, how much sleep you're getting, the people you're surrounding yourself with. So I do think like you make that one ultimate decision and then it just leads to so many other doors that, you know, you don't know what they're going to lead to, but it's usually something good.
And it doesn't even have to be a huge result. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It can be learning how to do a lunge properly.
Yeah.
And then executing that near perfectly every single time.
I just think everybody needs to develop patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
takes
important.
time.
We can't listen to a podcast, read a book, sit down and listen to your friends, and they give you all this great advice, and you say, well, I didn't go to the party. I should be stronger now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, you still cave in. You still don't feel good. You show up to the gym 1 week. You didn't get the results that you wanted to.
Well, like you say, consistency. Like,
But nobody's
being
willing to
consistent.
be consistent. How many people are willing to sit there and do the hard things that they don't enjoy without drastically seeing a huge result before they quit?
That's where I feel like you channel like your inner motivation and stuff.
Well,
like
you
that.
always say like, how long did it take you to put that weight
Yeah.
on? And you're like, so it's not going to take 2 weeks to get rid of.
Yeah, but how many people actually will see it out to that?
It's up
I
to
look at
them.
like Wendy Shavy. You know, she said, "I'm going to do it." She made the commitment to herself,
Yeah.
right? Now she's down almost 30 pounds, but said like, "Hey, I like to go out and socialize and have cocktails." But put myself in the position to say like, "Hey, peer pressure." My friends are like, "Come on, one drink's not going to kill you," but it deters you from your goal. But how many people are willing to do that though? Not many.
No.
Yeah.
But why though? That's what's frustrating to me is like you guys as caregivers, as people that have empathy, why don't they want to see themselves succeed? They do, but why aren't they willing to do the hard shit to put them through that?
It's uncomfortable.
Sure. So how do we get them to be uncomfortable? How do we trick them? How do you trick yourself?
It's a good question.
I think there has to be little carrots for people, right?
Little trails.
Yeah, that leads them back to home, Hansel and Gretel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But as coaches, how do we get them to keep showing up every single day? As friends, how do you see a friend struggle, but get them to follow your lead?
I would say highlighting the positives.
I think
And-
telling them the truth.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear the truth. I don't want to dominate this conversation, but I just feel like everybody wants, hey, great job today.
Yeah.
Even though you sucked, I'm going to tell you great job because I'm really
Yeah.
concerned about your feelings.
Well, everyone gets a trophy. That's how today is. I feel
But
like.
that
they
doesn't help
don't.
you grow.
But
That doesn't help
they
anybody
shouldn't.
grow.
They shouldn't. But
We've
that's
had
how
some
it is.
tough conversations in here where we've said, like, listen, you guys suck. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not for a targeting or say like
No.
you guys
Yeah.
are bad. It's like, hey, how do we get better?
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, you said circling around like how you want to be around a group of people. Well, do you want to be around a group of people that are going to hold you accountable, make you better? Or do you want to be with your buddies that are just going to bring you down and be complacent and average?
Yeah.
You know, if you were going to create a person, the toughest person in the world, what kind of situations would you put them in? Go.
Not easy ones.
Go. Like what? Give an example.
I don't know, losing a family member, maybe.
Okay, that's tough. Dan, what else?
I was gonna go with that one. She stole the words out of my mouth. Losing a loved one is, persevering through that. Look,
But that's life, though. We're all going to go through that.
being fired.
Okay.
That one is walking into your
You're
job
not
and
good
being
enough.
like, yeah,
Good.
turn around.
Eden,
Peace
what
out.
about you?
Health issues.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
dealing
What
with
else?
different.
Casey, go again. We're creating the toughest person to be able to handle anything that's out there. What kind of positions will we put them in? If we were going to design a video game. Oh, there you go.
A leadership role.
Yeah,
It's hard.
it's tough. How about constantly seeing negative? How about people in the medicine field?
Oh yeah.
That's all they typically do is see the
Yeah.
negative nonstop. Those people are tough.
Yeah.
How about seeing teachers? You know, the workload that they go through. That's tough.
Yeah.
Right? How about single parents? That's tough.
Definitely.
Right? So we want to put everybody in these positions, and again, they're all uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's how I think we outgrow everybody, and how we outgrow our former self. Do the hard shit.
Being put in hard situations and then seeing how you turn out.
Yeah, and you're gonna fail, right? And it's
Yeah.
okay. And establishing that it's okay that you're gonna gain weight 1 week.
Yeah.
You want to go 5 days and you only showed up 3.
Yep.
But I think the carrots are still there for you every day. What's your carrot every day? What's your
like, today to
Yeah.
come here? I mean, just coming here and surrounding myself with like you guys. I'm the youngest, but I'm still like I look up to you guys, but you're also my friends. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like surrounding myself with you guys every day, like I know that I'm gonna better myself just being here.
Yeah.
So that's my carrot.
What's your carrot?
I think mine is proving people wrong.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I had a lot of opinions when I switched over to this career path. And so for me, it's like I want to prove to people that this is the right decision for me, and I'm the only one that gets to make that choice.
Yes, you get to make that choice.
Yeah.
Why do you think they gave you negative feedback?
It's not traditional in a sense. And so I think like we're all conditioned to think that there's like a right and wrong way to go about life. Insurance was like a really big topic of conversation when I left teaching, which didn't even have the insurance plan through my school anyways, so it really didn't make a difference.
Do you know I ate that for you though too? So whatever was on your plate, I was eating that too. So
Yeah.
I put a chip on my shoulder too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. What's your carrot, Dan?
My son, every day, trying to be the best man so that he can see what it takes to become a man himself. And I mean, he's going to be 13. He's almost a teenager. And when people talk to me about him growing up, it's like, fuck, I'm going to cry. I need to be that person for him. And that's the carrot.
Do you need to be that person for him or for you first?
For me first and then for him.
Okay.
Because if we talk about the younger generation, okay, I don't want to raise my kid to crumble under bad circumstances. He already got enough on his plate. So if by me not crumbling, he's able to be like, oh, Dad made it through, I can do this. It's like, then that's it for me.
That's the overall one. What's the carrot today?
Oh, carrot today. Tony, one of my clients, he needs a knee surgery. And for me, it's like, how do I provide the best version of me to give him to be able to get to the weight that he needs to get to be able to have that knee surgery.
Cool.
That's my carrot.
What's yours?
Yeah.
Getting through today because I think the Christmas party is a big thing for me today. Like it's to be able to celebrate the fact that we surround ourselves with such great people, right? Because let's face it, we get to pick and choose who we're around every single day,
Yeah.
right? And I say that to anybody that walks in. We have an interview process when you walk in. We are fortunate and blessed enough where we get to work with you. We don't have to, right? You don't have to come in our doors. We are very selective. And as Lily and Tori said back in the day, it's a very secluded the most inclusive, secluded gym that you'll ever find. But I like to be able to celebrate that stuff. So, you know, if we can get through today, then we're good. That's my carrot.
Okay.
Knock that out. I like that. Okay. Very seductive.
I didn't say it like that.
A little
Okay.
bit. A little bit.
Okay.
I know how we're going to end the show today, but I will do it at the end, though. What time is it?
7:20.
7:20. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah,
What
wrap it
advice do you give the person that's sitting on the couch today on how to outgrow people, friends, places, themselves? What would you say to them? Eat and go.
What would I say to them? Just believe that, like, I don't know, everything happens for a reason. That's something that I strongly believe. So, like, trust your gut. Like, if you want to do something, do it. Like, don't fear anyone else's opinion. Just say no. Take that step into the gym doors. Do whatever it is that you need to do to better yourself, but don't be scared of it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'll go. I think make a list, whether it's mental or physical, of your values. And think about the things in your life, whether it's people or your career or whatever aspect it is, and decide if those things align with your values or not, and act from there.
I'd say don't be afraid to outgrow yourself as you are now, because we are constant works in progress. And sometimes you have to go through the tough growing pains in order to become that better person. As far as outgrowing other people and all of that, I said this last weekend at a show. If someone looks up and says, I miss you, then the first thing you should be asking back is, well, then why did you let me go in the first place? And that might be from an emotional standpoint, that might be a physical standpoint, that might be a lot of things, but it's like, clearly there was an outgrowing process that someone missed. And to go forward, don't be afraid to ask that tough question of yourself too in the situation.
I'll piggyback off what you said a little bit. If you write down your characteristics of what, like the list of what your values are, what do you want people to say about you at your eulogy? As morbid as it sounds, right? Are they going to say you were the best, you know, production guy at a plant? You know, did you do the best at the construction site? Were you the best teacher, or were you just a really great person, right? I would also say thoughts become things. Make a vision board. Like actually physically either put on the background of your phone or make a poster that you can see every single day, because thoughts become things. Picture the life that you want. Like, where do you want to travel to? What kind of house do you want to have? What kind of car do you want to drive? Obviously materialistic stuff, but I think if you don't have like purpose, or you know, the headlights on and you're driving in the dark, I don't think you'll ever get there.
Yeah.
Right? So vision board, watch The Secret or read the book. Thoughts become things.
Read the book.
Read the book. No, Think and Grow Rich. You didn't like that one.
Yeah, I didn't even read it.
Oh, good. Hey, do me a favor too. Comment below on this today too, of maybe situations where you outgrow somebody, something, situation, whatever, or tag somebody that you've seen outgrow and give them a compliment, and share the shit out of this today, because I think it's a conversation that most people don't get a chance to have or learn from too. So,
Especially in such a public forum.
yeah, wrap it up.
All right. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also continue to share and do the 25 Days of Fitness. We are on day number 16 of the 25 Days of Fitness. That video will be posted later on today. Every time you share and tag someone in the post, we will donate $1 to Lucky Puppy, because who doesn't love puppies for Christmas? And with that being said,
Let's give the float wave today. Have a great day, everybody.
do your thing. Cool.
Holding that